When you stop shrinking yourself to make others comfortable, something remarkable happens. Those who once tried to control you begin to tremble, not because you are loud, but because your silence carries the weight of self-respect. Today, let's speak about the quiet strengths that make toxic people fear your presence. There is a particular kind of power that does not announce itself. It does not roar. It does not threaten. It does not stomp its feet. It simply stands still, unmoved, unshaken, unbothered. That kind of strength terrifies toxic people more than anger ever could. Because when you respond to chaos with calm, you are holding up the clearest mirror they've ever seen, and they cannot bear the reflection staring back. Toxic people survive on reactions. They depend on your frustration, your confusion, your emotional spikes. To them, every moment you lose your peace is a moment they gain power. They create storms just to watch you struggle to stand. They stir doubt, spark fear, and ignite arguments because the noise distracts you from noticing who they truly are. But the day you stop taking their bait, the day you choose stillness over struggle, is the day their whole strategy collapses. Your calm becomes a revelation. Suddenly, their manipulative comments don't move you. Their attempts to provoke you fail to land. Their dramatic moods don't shake your center. And that unsettles them deeply. They are so accustomed to controlling people through pressure that when you stand firm, they don't know what to do with you. You become unpredictable to them, and unpredictability is something they cannot manipulate. Calmness doesn't mean you are weak. It means you have grown too wise to waste yourself in battles that don't deserve your spirit. It means you have learned that the loudest person in the room isn't always the strongest. Sometimes it is the one who refuses to raise their voice at all. When you remain calm, you reclaim the space they once consumed. You remind yourself that your peace is not negotiable, and you remind them that your emotions are no longer their playground. Your calm presence also strips away the illusions they hide behind. Toxic people depend heavily on confusion. Their power lies in keeping you overwhelmed, unsure, and emotionally off balance. But when you no longer react, they lose the ability to twist your words, shift blame, or rewrite reality. They cannot distort what you do not engage with. They cannot escalate what you do not feed, and they cannot destabilize someone who stands rooted in self-control. This silence is not passive. It is active, intentional, and razor sharp. It signals maturity, self-respect, and emotional mastery. It tells the world and the toxic people in it that you have reached a level of inner strength that no amount of manipulation can penetrate. And that is frightening for people who rely on your uncertainty to maintain their illusion of control. Your calm presence also creates a boundary without speaking a single word. It says, I see what you're doing, but I choose not to join you. It says, your storms are not my home. It says, I will not allow your chaos to become my identity. And they can feel that shift. It shakes them because it shows them that their influence over your world is fading. It shows them that you have grown into someone they can no longer intimidate. Calmness is a message, a warning, a transformation. It is the silent declaration that you have stepped into your strength, not by force, but by peace. And once you reach that level of inner quiet, toxic people no longer recognize you. You are no longer the person they could trigger with a look, manipulate with a sigh, or pull into conflict with a careless word. You have risen beyond their reach, and nothing terrifies them more than losing access to your reaction. The truth is simple. Your calm reveals their chaos, and once exposed, their power dissolves in every person's life when they realize that peace is not something they find, it's something they protect. And protection requires boundaries, not fences of anger or walls of bitterness, but quiet, clear lines that declare, you cannot walk here anymore. Toxic people fear those lines more than anything because boundaries take away the permission they've always assumed they had. Toxic individuals thrive on access. Access to your time, access to your emotional energy, access to your attention, your patience, your forgiveness. They feed off the parts of you that you hand out freely, the parts you believe you owe the world. But the day you begin to say no without apologizing, stop without trembling, or I'm busy without feeling guilty, is the day they realize their influence is slipping through their fingers. Boundaries reveal truth. They show you who respects you and who only benefits from your lack of limits. And toxic people will always fear the moment you start choosing yourself, because choosing yourself means they no longer come first. It means their demands no longer outrank your well-being. It means the emotional toll they once comfortably took from you now has a cost they cannot pay. Boundaries don't need to be shouted. They don't require confrontation. Often, the quietest boundaries are the strongest ones. Answering slowly, limiting access, controlling your availability, refusing to explain your every step. Toxic people begin to feel the shift long before you say a word. They notice when you stop responding to manipulation. They notice when your kindness becomes selective rather than automatic. They notice when you protect your time like something sacred instead of something anyone can claim. And that scares them. It scares them because boundaries expose their intentions. Without unlimited access to your energy, they must face the reality that their connection to you was never built on respect, but on convenience. They must confront the truth that they are not entitled to your life, your attention, or your emotional labor. And that truth is their deepest fear. But boundaries are not punishments. They are invitations. Invitations for healthier interactions, for mutual respect, for balance. Yet toxic people cannot accept that invitation because it requires them to meet you at a level of responsibility they are not willing to reach. Boundaries force them to change or to leave, and leaving is often the only choice they can manage. The beauty of boundaries is that they reshape your identity from the inside. They teach you to value your own needs. They teach you that sacrificing yourself is not love, that exhaustion is not loyalty, that silence is not acceptance. Boundaries restore the pieces of you that people have taken advantage of. They help you reclaim your voice, your confidence, your intuition. And once you learn to set them, you no longer fear losing people. You fear losing yourself. Far more toxic individuals sense this transformation in you. They feel the doors closing, the distance forming, the respect rising. They understand that the emotional shortcuts they once used no longer work. Their guilt trips fall flat. Their manipulation loses its pull. Their arguments no longer move. You have changed the rules, and you have changed them without permission. That is what terrifies them, because boundaries do something incredible. They turn the power of your silence into architecture, a structure they cannot climb, a gate they cannot force open, a space they cannot invade. You are no longer available at their convenience. You are no longer accessible to their moods. You are no longer tied to their expectations. You have stepped into authority over your own life. And the moment you do that, toxic people lose the only thing they ever wanted from you: control. Your boundaries become the line that separates who you used to be from who you are becoming. And once those lines are drawn, they are no longer just protection, they are liberation. There is a quiet, commanding power in self-possession, in the ability to stand unshaken while the storms of negativity swirl around you. Toxic people are drawn to chaos, they feed on weakness, and they attempt to distort the confidence of those who dare to hold themselves with dignity. But the third silent behavior that makes them fear you is your mastery of emotional sovereignty, the sacred art of not reacting to their provocations. You see, they thrive on drama, on the eruption of anger, fear, or defensiveness. The moment you step into the realm of self-control, the moment you refuse to rise to the bait, you transform from a participant in their game into an untouchable force. They realize, sometimes with frustration, sometimes with awe, that you are a terrain they cannot conquer, a mountain that will not be moved, a flame that will not be extinguished. There is a stillness in your soul that speaks louder than words, a silent declaration that no insult, no manipulation, no attempt to diminish you will ever succeed, and it terrifies them because it is a reflection of the inner fortress they themselves cannot attain. This is not a superficial calm, the kind of false peace that cracks under pressure. It is a cultivated strength, born from understanding, a deep recognition of your own worth, and a refusal to compromise it. Emotional sovereignty requires courage because it demands that you look beyond immediate impulses, that you do not surrender to the knee-jerk reactions that so easily entangle the unprepared. It demands patience, the kind of patience that lets the toxic energy wash over you like waves on a cliff, knowing that your foundation is unshakable, that you do not have to engage, that you are untouchable when you refuse to be dragged into their chaos. It is knowing that silence, measured and intentional, is often more devastating than any words you could throw back. In this silence, they confront the reality that their attempts to control or intimidate are meaningless. Your peace is a mirror reflecting their inner tumult. And there is no greater fear for someone who feeds on discord than to see the person they seek to undermine stand serene, unwavering, and entirely unbothered. Emotional sovereignty also demands discernment. It requires knowing which battles are worth your energy and which are not. Toxic people are relentless in their pursuit of control, and yet you learn to choose the moments where your voice, your boundaries, and your presence must be asserted, and the moments where restraint is the ultimate demonstration of power. Each unreacted provocation, each moment of calm when chaos is expected, is a brick in the fortress that protects your spirit. This is where true fear emerges in those who would seek to dominate you. They discover that their tools are ineffective, that their usual levers of guilt, anger, or manipulation hold no sway, and they are left powerless before a person who has discovered the strength of quiet resilience. They cannot touch what you have chosen not to surrender. The cultivation of this power is a lifelong discipline. It is practiced in everyday encounters, in moments when no one is watching, in the deliberate refusal to let external forces dictate your emotional state. It is reinforced. Each time you choose clarity over reaction, each time you respond with intention rather than impulse, Each time you acknowledge a provocation and release it without allowing it to taint your peace, this is what makes you a silent threat to toxicity, what instills fear without a single raised voice, what commands respect without demanding it. You carry within you a strength that radiates quietly, invisibly, yet unmistakably, and those who are accustomed to chaos cannot ignore it. In the end, emotional sovereignty is more than self-control. It is a declaration of freedom. Freedom from the manipulations of others. Freedom from the compulsion to prove yourself. Freedom from the destructive energy of those who would seek to derail your spirit. It is the ultimate silent behavior that inspires awe, commands respect, and instills fear, not because of aggression, not because of cruelty, but because of the unassailable power of a person who has mastered the art of staying unshaken, grounded, and unapologetically themselves in a world that constantly tests their resolve. In this quiet mastery lies the truth. Fear is not born from domination, but from the recognition that your inner fortress cannot be breached, your peace cannot be stolen, and your spirit cannot be conquered. Stand tall in the quiet power that doesn't need applause to be real. Let your stillness speak, your boundaries stand, and your worth shine without explanation. When you carry yourself with unwavering inner strength, toxic people will step back, not because you fought them, but because you outgrew them. Your silence becomes your shield, your growth becomes your victory, and your peace becomes your greatest triumph.